Some pickup trucks barely survive 100,000 miles. Others get abused for 30 years, haul trailers every weekend, live through brutal winters, and somehow still start on the first crank. And honestly, that's what separates a decent truck from a legendary one. Today, we're counting down the 15 most reliable pickup trucks ever built. Not the newest, not the most expensive, not the most luxurious. We're talking about the trucks mechanics trust, owners refuse to sell, and people still search for with 300,000 miles already on the odometer. And trust me, a few of these trucks are basically impossible to kill. Let's get into it.
15. Volkswagen Rabbit Pickup. The Volkswagen Rabbit Pickup is one of those trucks that almost doesn't make sense today. Tiny little diesel engine, barely any horsepower, a bed smaller than some modern SUVs. But somehow, these things just kept running forever. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, most American trucks were thirsty V8s getting horrible gas mileage, and then Volkswagen showed up with this weird little pickup getting nearly 40 mpg while puffing black smoke everywhere. It was painfully slow, like floor the throttle and pray slow. But reliability-wise, surprisingly solid.
Especially the diesel models. Most of the problems were just old Volkswagen stuff. Window cranks snapping off, vacuum leaks, random electrical nonsense, but the engines themselves were incredibly durable if you maintained them properly. And honestly, surviving over 40 years already says a lot. Today, clean Rabbit pickups are getting hard to find, and prices have climbed because people finally realized how cool these weird little trucks actually were.
14. Ford F-150. You cannot talk about reliable trucks without talking about the Ford F-150. Ford has built millions of these things, and there's a reason they've dominated American roads for decades. But here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Not every F-150 was reliable. Some were fantastic, some were complete disasters. And truck guys already know exactly which engine I'm talking about. The 5.4 Triton. That motor gave Ford owners nightmares for years, with cam phasers, timing chain issues, and spark plugs breaking inside the engine heads. Some people spent more fixing those trucks than the trucks were worth.
But when you get the right F-150, especially the older inline-6 trucks or the 5.0 V8 models, they're incredibly dependable. The early 90s F-150s especially built a reputation for being nearly indestructible. They were simple, tough, easy to repair, and you still see them working farms today with faded paint and 500,000 miles. And honestly, that's part of their charm. They don't feel delicate. They feel like tools. The newer 5.0 Coyote trucks also deserve respect. Tons of owners are pushing massive mileage with very few major issues outside regular maintenance. Fuel economy has never really been the F-150's strong point, but parts are cheap, every mechanic knows how to work on them, and that matters more than people realize.
13. Chevrolet Silverado. The Silverado is one of those trucks that can either be your best friend or financially ruin your week, because reliability really depends on which generation you buy. The sweet spot for Chevy trucks was definitely the early 2000s GMT 800 generation, especially with the 5.3-liter Vortec V8. That engine became legendary. Landscapers abused them, contractors overloaded them, teenagers straight-piped them, and somehow they just kept going. You still see these trucks everywhere with 250,000 or 300,000 miles like it's completely normal.
Now, were they perfect? Absolutely not. Rust destroys these trucks in northern states. Rocker panels disappear, frames get ugly, and interiors on older Silverados definitely feel cheaper than Toyotas from the same era. And then later GM trucks started developing lifter problems once cylinder deactivation systems showed up. That repair bill alone scares a lot of used buyers away. But mechanically, those older Vortec trucks earned their reputation the hard way. There's a reason mechanics still recommend them if somebody wants an affordable work truck.
12. Toyota Tundra. When Toyota entered the full-size truck market, a lot of Americans didn't take them seriously. People basically looked at the Tundra and said, yeah, okay, but can it actually work like a real truck? Turns out, absolutely, especially the first-generation Tundras. The 4.7-liter V8 in those trucks is one of Toyota's best engines ever. People regularly push them past 300,000 miles with nothing but regular maintenance and timing belt services. And unlike some modern turbocharged trucks, these older Tundras just feel overbuilt. Doors close heavy, engines sound smooth forever. Everything feels engineered to survive abuse. Now, the big downside was rust. Toyota had major frame rust problems that became a huge controversy years ago, and if you're buying one today, checking underneath the truck is non-negotiable.
Fuel economy also isn't great. These trucks drink fuel like old-school V8s because, well, they are old-school V8s. But owners don't care because they trust them. That's why even high-mileage Tundras still sell for crazy money today. 11. Mazda B2200. The Mazda B2200 is one of the purest examples of why old Japanese mini trucks became legends. This thing was basic. No giant touchscreens, no driving modes, no complicated electronics, just a tiny truck with a reliable 4-cylinder engine that refused to quit. And honestly, simplicity is a huge reason these trucks lasted so long. There just wasn't much to break. Owners beat these trucks to death for decades, delivering parts, hauling tools, and doing jobs way bigger than they were designed for. And somehow, many of them are still running. Now, they were slow, like dangerously slow by modern highway standards, but they were cheap to fix, easy to work on, and incredibly dependable if rust didn't get to them first. That's really the biggest enemy with these old trucks. Not engine failures, not transmission failures, rust. Because mechanically, they're ridiculously tough. Number 10. Volkswagen Type 2 truck. This thing barely even feels real anymore. The Volkswagen Type 2 truck looks more like something you'd see at a beach festival than a work site. But these old air-cooled Volkswagens became famous because of their simplicity. The engines were basic. The mechanics were simple, and owners could repair half the truck with basic hand tools. Now, to be fair, old Volkswagens demanded maintenance. You couldn't ignore them for years like modern cars. Valve adjustments, oil leaks, carburetor tuning, that was normal ownership back then. But if you stayed on top of maintenance, these things could last an incredibly long time. And honestly, the fact that so many are still alive today says everything. Number 9. Ford Ranger. The old Ford Ranger is basically the definition of dependable transportation. These trucks became absolute fleet legends. Utility companies used them, contractors used them, teenagers learned manual transmissions in them, and they just kept going. Especially the later models before Ford discontinued the original Ranger in 2011. The 4.0 V6 had decent power, but honestly, the smaller 4-cylinder engines were almost impossible to kill. The interiors were cheap, the ride quality was rough, and rust could absolutely destroy them in snowy states, but mechanically, fantastic little trucks. And the biggest advantage today is price. Tacomas got so expensive that a lot of buyers started realizing the Ranger offered almost the same reliability for way less money. 8. Nissan Hardbody. The Nissan Hardbody might be one of the coolest truck names ever created, and honestly, it fit perfectly. These trucks were tough in the most honest way possible. No luxury gimmicks, no fake rugged marketing, just simple, dependable engineering. The KA24 engine especially became famous for lasting forever if you change the oil regularly. And owners absolutely abused these trucks. Off-roading, work sites, towing things they probably shouldn't have been towing, didn't matter. The hardbody just kept surviving. Now, rust is definitely a problem today, especially around the frames and beds, but mechanically, these trucks earned a reputation for being almost annoyingly dependable. That's literally how some owners describe them.
7. Dodge Ram 50. A lot of younger viewers probably have never even seen a Dodge Ram 50 in person, but these little Mitsubishi-built trucks quietly became some of the toughest compact pickups of the 80s. And again, the secret was simplicity. Small engine, manual transmission, minimal electronics. That formula worked. Now, highway driving in one today feels adventurous. You're definitely not winning drag races, but reliability-wise, they earned serious respect. A lot of these trucks survived because the drivetrains were incredibly durable and cheap to maintain. Rust usually killed them long before the engines did.
6. Chevrolet Love. The Chevy Love helped prove Japanese compact trucks could absolutely dominate reliability. Even though it wore a Chevrolet badge, this thing was built by Isuzu, and that turned out to be a very good thing. The diesel engines especially developed a reputation for being unbelievably durable. Slow? Absolutely, but dependable. And back then, truck buyers cared more about reliability than speed anyway. These little trucks became workhorses because they were cheap to run, easy to fix, and tough enough for daily abuse. Honestly, a lot of modern mid-sized trucks could learn something from that philosophy. 5. Datsun 620. The Datsun 620 helped change how Americans viewed Japanese trucks forever. Because once people realized these tiny pickups could survive years of abuse while barely needing repairs, everything changed. The engines were simple, the transmissions were durable, and owners loved how easy they were to work on. That's a huge theme with older, reliable trucks. They weren't overcomplicated, and because of that, they aged beautifully.
beautifully. Now today, clean Datsun 620s are becoming collector vehicles. Prices have gone way up, especially for restored trucks. And honestly, it makes sense. They've got character.
4. Subaru Baja. The Subaru Baja is one of the weirdest vehicles ever made, and somehow people absolutely love it. It's basically part wagon, part truck, part rally car. The bed is tiny, towing capability is limited, and hardcore truck guys still don't fully accept it. But Baja owners don't care, because these things are fun and surprisingly dependable too, especially the turbo models. The all-wheel drive system makes them fantastic in snow, camping trips, and mountain driving, and the Subaru community absolutely keeps these things alive. Now, naturally aspirated Subaru engines from this era did have head gasket issues, so buying one with maintenance records matters a lot. But overall, the Baja became one of those vehicles people regret selling almost immediately.
3. Honda Ridgeline. The Honda Ridgeline still starts arguments today. Truck purists hate it because it's unibody. But meanwhile, Ridgeline owners are quietly driving 250,000 miles with barely any major problems. And honestly, that says everything. Honda approached trucks differently. Instead of building a hardcore, heavy-duty work truck, they built something comfortable, practical, and incredibly dependable for normal people. The ride quality's excellent, the interior ages well, maintenance costs are low, and that hidden in-bed trunk, honestly genius. Now obviously this isn't the truck you buy for massive fifth-wheel towing or serious rock crawling, but for daily driving, road trips, Home Depot runs, camping, and light towing, the Ridgeline makes a ridiculous amount of sense. And reliability-wise, it's one of the safest used truck purchases you can make.
Number 2, the Toyota T100. Now, the Toyota T100 never sold like the American trucks did. Partly because it wasn't quite full size, partly because it didn't have a V8 for most of its run. But the people who owned them absolutely loved them, because these trucks just lasted forever, especially with the legendary 3.4-liter V6. You constantly hear stories of T100s hitting 350, 400,000 miles with very few major repairs. And honestly, that's peak Toyota engineering. Simple, durable, overbuilt. The interiors weren't fancy. The towing numbers weren't class-leading, but reliability? Elite.
And finally, the king, the Toyota Hilux, or simply the Toyota pickup here in America. This truck became legendary because people genuinely could not destroy it. And I mean that literally. Farmers used them, contractors used them, militaries used them. People drove them through deserts, jungles, floods, and mountains, and somehow they kept running. The 22R and 22RE engines especially became famous for surviving insane mileage with basic maintenance. Now, were they fast? Not even remotely. Modern minivans would smoke them in a drag race. But reliability was never about speed. It was about trust. And people trusted these trucks more than almost anything else on the road. Even today, clean old Toyota pickups are expensive because buyers know they'll probably outlive half the modern trucks sitting at dealerships. That reputation wasn't built through marketing. It was earned. Now I want to hear from you guys. What's the most reliable pickup truck you've ever owned? And which truck do you think deserved a spot on this list? Drop it down in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more truck content just like this. See you in the next one.